I can't emphasize this enough, never, ever, ever send sensitive information in or attached to an email. I had an attorney not long ago send me bank statements for his client in an email. My head almost exploded. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. It had the account number, name, account number, address, everything right in the bank statements. Like 3 months of bank statements. Here you go, in an email, unencrypted. Right. That's, first of all, a violation of ethics. Secondly, it's just stupid. Anyway. Negligent employees are your Achilles heel. So employees, whether through negligence, carelessness, or malice, that can be a thing. If you have disgruntled employees, they can kneecap you digitally if they have access to your whole network and that sort of thing, which is why you want to embargo people. Give them only access to the things they absolutely have to have access to. 59% of data breaches are caused by employees. Email threats are still real. In fact, they're getting better, they're getting more sophisticated. There used to be those like phishing emails that were so obvious you could tell that they were fake. Now there's a thing called spear phishing, where the email will be targeted to a specific individual. I'm to the point where if I'm out of the office, I won't even do an out-of-office thing. You know, people will do an out-of-office announcement, and they're like, oh, I'm out of office, I'm in Vegas for the weekend. If you need help, get in touch with my assistant, Scott. Here's his email. Well, what you've just done is told the entire world that Scott is your assistant, here's his email address, it's easy to spoof that email address, and then all of a sudden, somebody else in your organization gets an email from Scott, and Scott is saying, well, Tricia's in Vegas for that conference, and she has got to have money, the account's low or whatever, she's got to have money wired right away, get money to her. Okay, that is a real thing. There was an associate at one of the biggest law firms in the world not long ago who was sort of the junior person on a team that had just negotiated a multi-million-dollar settlement to a lawsuit. And so it was the job of this associate to get the money paid to the other side. An email comes in telling the associate where to wire the funds. Associate wires the funds, off they go. It was a spear phishing email. The funds went to who knows who. They got stolen. And then the law firm's like, well, the client says, well, I paid. I paid what I agreed to pay. Sorry it didn't go to you. You were supposed to get it, but I paid it. Guess what? The court ruled that that didn't actually result in payment. And they had to pay it again. So, this kind of thing happens to the smartest people. It happens to the people who you would think it wouldn't happen to. I can pretty much guarantee you that associate doesn't have a job anymore. So, this comes down to education. My clients are all, or at least I try to train them all. If they get an email from me with a link, then it's totally okay to just give me a phone call real quick and say, hey, did you send this? Okay? So get your people trained around that. If you have people in your organization who are going to hesitate to pick up the phone because you might get mad that they're calling to check on a link, that's a barrier you want to dissolve. You want your people checking and double checking to make sure that this was the, is this link real, is this email real, etc. Create that culture.
So you wouldn't recommend them to email you back and say, did you send me a link?
No, because it's going to go to the spammer.
Yeah.
Okay, pick up the phone and call. Okay, or maybe text. A text would work.